meeting, and actually there's a lot of communities that are looking at broadband, and it's become a very popular option and economic development tool, not only for the local citizens, but also for business and medical purposes. And so it's kind of critical for the growth of any smaller community. We looked at several different options, and the one that we kind of landed on was more or less the city will run their own broadband. That way we can kind of control our destiny. We're not at the whims of somebody sitting in a big tower, in New York City, dictating to rural Iowa what they think is best for us. So the problem, of course, is that it is expensive. We have been working with the consultants. They've been very good to work with. They've worked with other communities. Price tag on these things is quite high, but again, it's not going to be funded by the taxpayers. All this money will be repaid by the users of the system. So
certainly,
the taxpayers are not on the hook. That being said, could it happen? Yeah, if the system isn't well accepted in the community, and all of a sudden we're looking at a big chunk of money, we're going to have to probably figure out a way to do it. But we're hoping that it's not going to come to that point. We did authorize on Monday night the borrowing of up to $40 million, which is, it's got a pretty good cushion there. I don't think it's going to cost nearly that much to build that system. We're not going to buy the hardware right now. We are buying the cable, and I believe some of the conduit, and then construction will start probably in the spring of next year. We're hoping to start marketing this by the middle of next year, actually start recruiting people. The server will probably be in the downstairs of City Hall where the old water department was. That's kind of a centralized location. And then they're anticipating they're going to have to hire about 15 people to do the billing, marketing, service work, and all that stuff. We will have a general manager that will probably be hiring sooner than later, that will basically be in charge of the system, doing all the personnel work and working with the engineers as they work through the system. They will build a hub. We are intending to run this underground throughout the entire community, which is part of the problem. Some of the people in Cape May have made offers to us that they want to hang some of the wires. We didn't want that, especially after what we saw what happened in eastern Iowa with the derecho over there. They struggle with the internet and telephone. If it's underground, we don't have that type of problem. So we're looking at everybody in town will have access to it. They will be doing a hub, more or less, and then running the branches off of the hub. And be all buried underground, and it should go fairly smoothly. Again, anticipating that we'll start marketing it next year and will be somewhat operational. I think you'll probably start to see some, maybe early 23 will be the actual hookup time for a lot of people in town. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I am too. Mediacom has been known to sue people who even criticize them.
Yeah.
And it's hard not to criticize a company that makes you sit and wait 4 hours for the simplest thing. I have never seen a Mediacom technician show up before 3.5 hours into that 4-hour wait time. It's like they purposely leave you sit there. And so it'll be great to finally and at last have some sort of control over what has become an important part of life. Internet service alone, who can function without it? I lost my phone Sunday in panic. I ran out to Verizon and bought a new one. I did.
Well, I think last year, with everybody kind of using the internet more for education, entertainment, virtually all of our television services are streamed anymore. It's just frustrating if you don't have good internet service, and that's one thing that I think we prioritized, and I think we've shown through our actions that it's well received in the community. Look at the vote, 72% of the people wanted to go with the community-owned internet service. So we're going to do the best we can to make this the best product possible. I think the fees that we agreed to on tonight was more or less to make the bankers happy. As the bankers look at the paybacks on these, they don't have a lot of collateral. They have a lot of people interested. Then you can kind of go by what we're going to charge and how many people are anticipating taking it. They can look at the payback and be more comfortable with loaning us the money. So I think it's going to be it's a learning experience, and I can't tell you that we're apprehensive. I mean, at least I am, because this is a big chunk of money, and we're kind of operating in an area that we don't have a lot of experience, and it's going to be a learning experience. But again, I don't want to apologize for anything. I just want it to work. I want it to be reliable. I want it to be fast. And I want the people that are running the telephones and the service techs to be responsive. And I think, as a city-owned facility, we have a lot more control with that. So I'm just keeping our fingers crossed. So smoothly, the way that the people that tell us that, what we're doing is the way to do it. So.
Well, there'll be problems. I mean, you can bet, and there'll be detractors because there are cave people out there. And, 15 years ago, that was a phrase in common use. Cave.
Right. Citizens
against virtually everything, and we have those cavers today. I mean, we when we were getting to the Crosstown Connector, we were talking about different ways to route traffic downtown. And one guy at a meeting over at the public library was adamant all we had to do was, nail a wooden sign to a telephone pole, and why spend all the money like we were going to on a roundabout.
Yeah. Well, again,
I love it. Yeah, I loved it.
But I think it's going to go very smoothly. I mean, we did a lot of action on Monday night, authorized borrowing the money. We hired the engineer for $1.7 million, and we also set the fees, and it's definitely moving. It's moving fast. It's going to be very good. Other communities have done this, and I think we're probably learning from their mistakes, if you want to call it that. But, I mean, the process is pretty well hammered down, and the groups that we're working with, the consultants have been very good, very open. So Ryan has stepped up with the city, Ryan Mail, and has handled a lot of the background work, and I've got to give him credit because he's taken this bull by the horns, and I don't know how familiar he was with the whole process, but I think he's done a very good job kind of coordinating everything with HR Green and all the other people that we've had to deal with. So it can only get better from here. If you look at our speeds that we're promising and looking at the speeds that we're getting currently, it's a world of difference. So.
All right, Councilman Terry Minke is our guest today on 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. I forgot because it's been about 40 minutes ago. Are you running for re-election or not?
I will let you know probably in a week or so.
Will you call into the program as Matt was decent enough to, or are you going to protect the messenger again? Let's play protect the messenger, because they're leaders when it comes to thinking in the community.
Yeah, I think, I think we'll probably have a lot of people interested in running for city council because there's a lot of positive things happening now. So, we'll have to see how it all sorts out over the next few weeks. So I'm not going to make the commitment at this point. There's some discussions that I have to have with several different people.
Terry, to be honest, there just hasn't been that many people beating down the door of the council chambers wanting to be on the council.
Well,
I mean, it's $4,500 a year.
48.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
4,800, and you guys get harassed all the time. Now, some of the people like the attention, I think, like to have their name out there.
Yeah.
But
it's a lot of work. I can tell you, I didn't anticipate the amount of work. I'm on a lot of different committees. I mean, I've had 2 different meetings today already, and working full time and all. So it figures out to about 25 cents an hour, I think, is what it boils down to. And it's a lot of fun. It's a good learning experience. Like I said earlier, if it would have continued with the Zoom meetings, I probably would have been out of there without any problems. I just did not enjoy that at all.
No, nobody did, I don't think.
The face-to-face, we get a lot more interaction. But like Matt said yesterday, there's a lot of things going on. Flattery has said that he's going to run until we get a rec center.
So Dave might be running a long
he's
time.
Going to be there until he's an old man. Because I don't know about you, but I haven't seen anybody starting any work anywhere. So.
No, I had Dave on last week, and Dave's a great guy, of course. He's always Mr. Optimistic. And we were talking about the ward, and he said, well, we got to be optimistic. And I didn't want to rain on his parade, but I didn't see much to be optimistic about as far as the Warden complex is considered. Matt was in here the other day, or when he talked to me about, let's see, or was it last Thursday? It might have been last Thursday. Anyway, he talked about the millions and millions of dollars it would take just to bulldoze the Warden Plaza
Yeah.
and haul everything away.
I don't think anybody has any concept of what's there. You look at the pictures and how that was built. There's a lot of concrete in that building.
Oh, huge amounts, huge.
Yeah.
And even if you did a controlled explosion, just hauling that away. I did a little time in the trucking business. There'll be thousands of truckloads to haul that.
Where would you put it?
And where would you put it is another point.
Yeah. No, again, I think 7, 8 years ago when I was running for council, the warden was part of the discussion, and it's been talked about for 20, 25 years.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of great plans for it. I think it could be a beautiful building. There have been a lot of people, look at the Black Hawk was rejuvenated. Sioux City has an old hotel that's just rejuvenated and finished up, and Des Moines got a couple of them. So there's a lot of groups out there that have done this before. Our biggest problem is that we've been dealing with a bunch of people that obviously didn't know what they were getting into when they signed papers, and then they forgot to read them to find out what they were doing. But, there's a lot of potential there. And I mean, we've got grants, we've got opportunities, we've got, all kinds of things where we could get this done. But you just have to have the right people in charge, somebody that can look at it and, like Dave, look at it and see that what it can be. And you talk about rejuvenating downtown, this is going to be an opportunity. But again, we got to get out of court. We've got to get into the construction business. We need dumpsters, and we need people in there working. And I think once it's done, I think everybody's going to be very proud of what happened to it. And it'll be a shining example of, what we can do in this community. And you look at all of our positive growth, and then you've got that ugly thing sitting downtown, and we're going to have right there, we're going to have 15,000 people there. And what are they going to see? They're going to see a dilapidated, rundown building with broken windows, with a sidewalk that's been torn up with you look into the basement, and it's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment to the community to have that building sit there. And something that, no matter how much we talk about it, we just don't have the right people that have stepped up to help us with the job. That being said, there's a potential that there could be somebody looking at it that's going to do that. But I've said that like 3 times in the last 7 or 8 years, so I don't know if it's actually going to happen. But, something's got to be done. It's either going to have to be fixed or it's going to have to come down. And I don't think anybody wants it to come down.
Well, not really, because of just the expense of tearing it down.
Yeah.
But by the same token, it just sits there.
Yep.
Year after year after year.
And it's got trees growing up on top.
Does it really?
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me.
Up on the top. I take pictures of them about once a month, and I turn them into that C-Click fix or text you, government, whatever. I send them in here.
Just got to mess with people, don't you?
Yeah,
just got to mess with people.
Yeah, well, it's just one of those things that I just want them to know that people are aware of the fact that building, something needs to be done. We need to be kept up to date. And I know now, we can't really talk about what's going on, and, there obviously isn't much.
Oh, I think we can. Nothing's going on.
Yeah, well, that's just it. There's nothing going on. It's not getting any better. It's just, it's looking bad. And me with Slump and Blade, I'm a big proponent. If it doesn't look good, nobody wants to fix it up, then let's knock it down and make it look better. And when the Griffith building built out, it was burnt down out there. That was an arson fire, and it sat there, and that's the main entryway into Fort Dodge, and it just sits there. And that just makes.
Wait, what are you talking about?
The Griffith Architect building across from Friendship Haven.
Oh, yeah.
They finally knocked that down. But these entry points to Fort Dodge, this is the impression that we make on the people when they come into our community. And when you've got a burnt out building that's on the primary entryway into Fort Dodge, that doesn't give, a real good feeling. It's the perception that you get when you drive around town and you see weeds up to your, neck. And
well, what is the reason for that, Terry?
Well,
who is responsible for making a decision on this building to clear up that eyesore? And certainly we spent a lot of money and time and went to war over the Crosstown Connector. And yeah, there's weeds and nonsense all over the place. It was great to get the job done, but it looks like hell half the time.
Yeah. Like I said, when we get people in from these war-torn countries, they feel like home sometimes, depending on what section of town they're in. But We've been very aggressive with our nuisance and abatement program. The biggest problem there is money. Like everything else, it requires a lot of money to knock a house down. It's $25,000 anymore. We keep buying houses, and we've got probably 10, 12 of them that we've bought that need to come down. But again, it's the almighty dollar, and it's just if it isn't in a GO bond, here and there we can borrow from the economic development fund, but we've got to redevelop these lots. You look on Fifth Avenue South, there's probably a half dozen lots on Fifth Avenue South that could be developed. If we had somebody that came in and wanted to put in retail with apartments up above, that's what we're looking for, but we just can't. Look at the price of all the lumber and everything. It's virtually impossible to build anything anymore. But as the economy changes and as hopefully the attitude in the community changes, we'll probably get a lot of these developments underway. But again, it's a slow, gradual process, and it never works fast enough for me.
Well, I think we ought to take a real hard look at who our city council candidates are going to be this election cycle and find any connection with MediaCom, because that's going to be trouble. They'll gum up the works for years and say, "There, I told you it wasn't."
We're gonna hear from MediaCom. I don't think they've been awfully quiet during this transition period, but I would assume they're going to come out with some really good offers for some real long-term service to tie you in.
Yeah.
And again, just remember that you can't access them half the time. That's part of the problem, and I think we're on the right path. So.
And their customer service, again, is just terrible.
Yeah.
There's just no excuse for it. And there really isn't. They have made millions and millions of dollars, and they still will tell us to go sit somewhere and wait for their tech or whatever the hell.
Yeah. Just turn on Channel 5 and see what they do for you. Well, that's right. You can't get Channel 5.
Yeah. I dropped their TV service. I'm with Direct now. The picture's much better. But.
Yeah. And that's the way it's going to go in the future. A lot of people don't have cable TV anymore. Everybody's using the internet for their TV service. And I still am old school. I still have a landline, and I still got the cable. So I guess I'm old.
I don't have the landline, and I don't have the cable anymore. And I know a lot of younger people, especially that use YouTube or Hulu or any of those services. I'm just not into them personally. I got to have access to local programming. Local programming is my big deal.
Yeah.
I still have to watch the local news. Local, that would be the Des Moines TV stations. And by the way, I get ABC on DirecTV.
Do you? Well,
yes, I do.
You should record it and rebroadcast it on your Facebook page. People will probably watch those few things that they like to watch. But
if I wrote a letter to ABC and explained, they'd probably be happy with that.
You're probably right.
Well, you do remember that MediaCom a short time ago sued the city of West Des Moines.
Right.
And they cared about the customers, the cable customers in West Des Moines, but they sued because West Des Moines hadn't gone through the process correctly. I didn't know they had standing to sue, actually, but apparently West Des Moines didn't do what we did and put this to the test of the vote. The voters of West Des Moines didn't have a chance to weigh in. But really it's just a delaying tactic to screw the people of West Des Moines out of a few more dollars.
Well, didn't Google offer something to do that for them?
What's that?
Google offered something to do that.
Yeah. We're losing you, Terry. Terry, thank you so much for being here.
Not a problem.
All right, Terry Mankey's been our guest. It's
Straight Talk on Life and Money. This is the Dave Ramsey Show on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400, KVFD, Fort Dodge.
The push for the president's priorities on Lisa Brady, Fox News. House Speaker Nancy